This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everyone. Another day in Juma with grey skies. I don't think they hold rain, or maybe that's just wishful thinking. But we do have a spectacular scene in front of us on quarantine. The elephant did take a bit of a tantrum and chased away the impala, which was rather unfortunate. I think he was getting very protective over his marulas. I would be the same. But the long grass, the open space, the impala, the wildebeest, and the elephant, it really is a perfect start to the morning. Good morning, my name is Lauren and I do have Chet on camera. And I think this is a perfect place to start. I was on my way to the hyena den, as I'm sure you can probably all guess. But seeing an Ellie first thing in the morning is really quite something special. Already taking a tantrum. It's such a... Until we got Cara, who was behaving unbelievably skittishly. And then hyenas chasing a honey badger, and a honey badger fighting right back. Oh, spectacular. So I'm really hoping for a lot today. Spots and spots and spots and spots is what I want. But of course, this safari is live and interactive, so you never know what you're going to get. You never know what's around the next corner. But you must talk to us. That is what I do know. Please send in your questions and comments about anything. Even if we're just driving, we can get into some really good discussions about dynamics, about movements, about all sorts of things that are happening out here. And anything you like to know. You use a hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. Or if you're on the website, as long as you've registered, you can submit your questions under the live safari page. Because we parked a little bit further away, it gives a long distance visual, so all the animals are really relaxed. And of course, kids, if you're watching, you must talk to us. Absolutely. Anything you really want to know about the African bush, please ask us. You send in your questions via email. And the email address is kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Love it when quarantine looks like this. Love, love, love. Justin, you're saying you know what time it is. It's Bumble time. Oh yes, it is. Bumble in the jungle. Although it's not really a jungle. It's been a little bit tough. We've had a lot of sightings happening around Juma. But hopefully we're going to get some epic sightings on Juma today. I tried really hard to get Tandy for you yesterday. Tandy. But I do want to just scratch around for Tlalamba. Tomorrow's my last day, and I really do want to see if I can at least figure out where she is, even if I don't get to see her. At least start that process again. It took me about 10 days the last time, but maybe this time we can try and figure out where she is. Is she on Juma? Is she on Torchwood? Is she still using the Gory Pan loop? I don't know, but I can at least try. Okay, it's a bit gloomy here, but at least it's not raining. But I think for now, let's take a look at what the weatherman says.
Good morning and welcome to Eco Trading Pridelands. And the weatherman is right. It is cloudy and it's definitely nice and cool this morning, which makes it for a lot of good activity in terms of animals. We tend to find on these cooler mornings that the animals are just that little bit more active. And at the moment we're watching some zebras as well as impalas that are grazing on the open field next to us. We're not 100% sure if the weatherman is correct about if it's going to rain or not, as we're already starting to feel a little bits of drizzle. Let's hope that it keeps away and that we can get out there this morning. So my name is JP LaRue, and behind the camera we've got Davy. Sorry Davy, I just want to fix something over here. We just had one of our antennas that popped down. Let's get that up again. And then meanwhile we're just going to put the camera back onto our zebras and see what they're getting up to. Impalas are incredibly alert this morning and they've been looking around, and so has the zebras. But the only other animals I can see them keeping contact with is a number of different impalas and zebras which they are watching in the distance. It's always good to watch animals in terms of their behavior, as quite often their behavior will give away what is actually going on in that area. And that's often how we also find predators. We're just going to be dead quiet for a few seconds and allow you to listen to different sounds while we're watching our zebras. Some of the sounds that you might hear in the background is a fantail cisticola, a black cuckoo, as well as some Swainson spurfowl. Well, we're going to spend a little bit more time over here in this open plains and see what all our different species of animals are up to. But in the meanwhile, let's go and see what Tessa's doing.
Good morning everybody. I'm so happy that we are starting our drive this morning. I am sitting up past Sandy Patch, and this is actually the area where Lauren found Cara last night and where we heard the lions calling from. And so those are both on my agenda for the day today. My name is Tessa. I'm going to be your guide on safari. Behind the camera is Owen, and from here we're heading straight up to see if we can find where Cara has gone. So Cara was around this area last night. She was in the road and then she moved off into the thickets. And so, because we heard the lions calling from here, because Cara was around here somewhere last night, we wanted to head straight off and see what we could find this morning. I haven't seen any tracks yet other than for a honey badger coming straight up the road all the way almost from the lodge. And I'm nearly at the gate. So it's a very intent honey badger. But I think the happiest thing for this morning is, although it looks like a lot of rain coming, we are dry starting our drive, and that makes me happy. That makes me very, very, very happy. So I do want to just head straight towards this little section here at Sydney's Dam and just have a look before I head towards Triple M. I I think there's so much promise for today, everybody. It's a lovely morning. There's hardly any wind. It's nice and cool. It's a little bit drier than it was yesterday. I think it's going to be a very, very, very good day. Now we know Cara is a little bit skittish or nervous, but we do know she probably would have been hunting in the area last night, and that's when she tends to be a little bit more relaxed, is when she has a kill somewhere. And so what we've been doing is just scanning through the trees in case there's a carcass hanging anywhere, but also just checking through the roads very, very slowly as we go, checking the game paths, checking along the roads, and just going from there. Hopefully we might get lucky with her this morning. But I've discovered one of the new places that I love going to is Sydney's Dam. So that's the first place I'm going to be checking while I'm looping myself around this area. Ooh. Right, let's see what we can find. So this is actually a really nice road. It loops from Wilderness access around and straight to Sydney's Dam. And there's normally quite a bit of bird life along here. We've often seen hyenas here, we've seen elephants and buffaloes here. And of course the talamatis as well. No, Cara really enjoys. See what we can find. I've got a good feeling about this morning. I almost have an inclination that they might find wild dogs this morning. I just have the feeling. So we're actually going to start with a bit of a long distance view to the other side of the dam and just have a bit of a scan. Because from where we go on the other side, where we normally are, we can't really see past the long grass onto that particular bank. So, here we go. So we've got a bit of a narrow view because we've got the rain roof on and it's very, very thick here. But it's definitely worth having a look and especially having a listen once we've just arrived. And so we kind of scan through the gaps in the trees as we go. I can hear a lot of birds in the drainage line, even a woodpecker. But I'm not seeing anything moving just yet, so I'm going to move to the other side of the dam in a few minutes.
We're still going south on Twin Dams Road. I'm just driving really, really slowly. There's some roads that I'm going to avoid today. Had a chat with Mish last night, and it's the usual suspects that every time it rains we sort of avoid these roads. The Anyalas, both of them, north and south. Hyena, but to be honest I don't really drive Hyena Road much anyway. I did it the other day for the first time in a long time. Elephant carcass was bad yesterday, so we've called that one. Rebecca's is normally bad, but yesterday was okay, so that one's still on. But there are just a few roads that are just incredibly waterlogged, so we're just going to avoid them. This big elephant bone keeps getting moved, I think by the elephants. Every time I put it to the side it comes back again. We're just going to leave it in the middle of the wood. That's clearly where the elephants want it. I can't imagine any other animal that would move it. 1 or 2 super hot days with the intense summer heat, and it'll dry the landscape right up. But obviously that's not happening. And yesterday we were slipping and sliding everywhere on elephant carcass. So we're just going to avoid that one now. It depends on where on the Katina the lines sit, where the water sort of collects, falls down, where all the drainage lines and mitre drains are positioned, that will make the roads really not so great during heavy rains. I think we should avoid the Mowatu as well. Ah, my goodness, I thought you were elephant dung. Thank goodness I've got my glasses on. I know, you're not dung. Sorry, I didn't mean to offend you, you're not dung. Is that you, Novella? It's a little bit tricky for me when it's a side-on profile. But you can see immediately that it's a sub-adult. It's the prettiest elephant dung I've ever seen. Sir, 50, you're saying what a great surprise. Absolutely, just lying on the road like that. Took zero skill or effort, but still a great surprise. I mean, I'm coming this way for the hyenas. I am looking for you guys. Yeah, it's Novella. If you look at her left hip area, she's got a really obvious, it almost looks like a tick. You know, when you hand draw a tick. A big line of spots with that little sort of curved bit. It's Novella. Well, that's not very good views for us, Novella, let me tell you. And of course, our mom has been very, very busy with Comet. We saw them yesterday. I would really love to follow them. And I really would love to catch hyenas mating. I think that's such a wonderful thing to see in the wild. And Sutu's a gorgeous hyena. She's really transformed in her looks, and she's obviously becoming an adult. But what I've noticed about Sutu this past year, she really she doesn't spend much time in social scenarios. I mean, she was following the dogs the other day, but she's not really a den girl. I don't think I've seen Sutu at this Twin Dams den. She always seems to be on her own little mission. It's a shame. The only times I really see Sutu are either with dogs or if I'm at a leopard kill. And that's obviously Novella's big sister. From June's previous litter. Novella, what are you doing on the road, my dear? Safari kitty, I know. In my periphery, I just thought it was dung. When you see these big things on the road, it's normally big piles of dung. And it's obviously not dung, it's Novella. And Novella's still young. She is just over a year, around 13 months or so. And she spends a lot of time on her own now, but she's often hanging around the den. And naturally, her mom, June, does appear to be courting. Whether she's pregnant or not, we don't know, but a hyena gestation period is 4 months, so it'll be a while yet before June actually has cubs, I believe, but it does appear that she is sort of courting Comet. He's doing a lot to impress her, and he doesn't let her out of his sight. He follows her everywhere, and of course the females have the upper hand with hyenas, so he's just following. is tending to her. It's a tending bond, making sure she doesn't disappear and go with another man. Sophia, absolutely. The grass is wet. It's heavy with moisture. It rained a little bit last night and the sort of dew of the morning, and it's just wet and cold and damp. And that's why you find a lot of animals will be walking on the roads at this time in the morning, and that's why we always just try to keep on moving for that first hour of drive. Because nobody really wants to walk through wet grass. I mean, they will, but it's probably warm, it's dry. We're very close to the hyena den. Really, really close. It's just through that drainage line. It's probably lovely to lie on the roads, and hyenas generally love roads. Lions and hyenas you will find on roads the most, whereas leopards, they obviously will sort of walk through the blocks a lot. Okay, I am hoping that Novella's going to get up soon so we can make our way to the den, but for now, what a lovely surprise.
Okay, so we have just arrived. We've done a bit of a loop back towards Sandy Patch, and we've just arrived in the open clearings. We found some lion tracks, but what's interesting to me is that there are no impalas here. They've all moved off. So what we want to do is, while we're watching this cute little pan where there's a few insects bobbing up and down, foam nest, frog nest in the background, I just want to have a listen in case we've missed something, or we can maybe hear any indication of where this lion has gone. It seems as though his tracks were coming this way. Let's just have a little bit of a listen. We have got a lovely dawn chorus starting here. How lovely would it be to have a big male lion walking towards us and coming to drink at this little pan system. See him coming from the distance there through the quarries. I can just picture a male lion coming straight here and having a drink. Probably the same male that we heard calling last night. It did sound like it was coming from this area. But I'm going to be checking here quite carefully and down towards Impala Road and the western boundary as well, just to make sure his tracks haven't crossed. We've just been checking the little pan system. We've got some lion tracks coming this way from Sydney's Dam area, all the way down Sandy Patch North and then back towards the clearing. And this is Sandy Patch that we're on. Interestingly, there are no impalas here this morning, which is always a bit of a telltale sign that something has come through. We just didn't know what it was until we found the lion tracks, and now it makes sense as to why the impalas are not here. We're basically doing a bit of a figure of 8. So we've done a little bit of Vuyatela access to Sydney's Dam, down Sandy Patch North, and now we're doing back on Vuyatela access to the western boundary, and then we'll come back up Impala Road just to close a bit of a circuit where we think the tracks may have gone. We have got quite a few birds out and about this morning, so this is promising to me. When they're already so active in the dawn chorus, it means that we might have a fairly dry morning. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We've got a very light drizzle, but nothing that would cause the birds to hide away. And so that can be a pretty good indication for us that for the next little while we should be okay. And so we're going to see what happens as we go towards the western boundary. I have a feeling that this is one of the males that's coming to join either the Talamatis or maybe the Mbali male. The size of his track was definitely a male lion. And we know that we had them calling last night, and it was the same concept of one calling up here in the northwest and then others replying from the south, chatting to each other. Sophie, an ideal day on drive doesn't matter the weather, it doesn't matter what you see, it's being able to be out here and learn something and get excited about something every day. That for me is an ideal day. There is nothing wrong with seeing nothing as long as you're learning something from it and getting excited about the smaller things then. You can always see something if you look for something. But if you mean weather-wise, I think for game viewing, optimal weather, if you're wanting to see a lot of the bigger mammals, the cooler days are really good for predators and elephants. So I would say the cooler days over the very, very hot days. If you're wanting to see birds, I'd say the very, very hot days parked off at a dam or a drainage line somewhere. So I think it depends what you're looking for, but an ideal day in the bush is any day spent in the bush, provided you are actually looking for anything that you can learn from and get excited about. I know Lauren was saying it the other day, but when the day comes that you're out here, no matter what the weather, no matter what you see or don't see, if you're out here and you don't get excited, it's time to leave. It really is. Because there's always something new, there's always something that catches your eye, whether it's a flower or a new insect that you haven't seen, or even just something you haven't seen in a while, even if it's a hyena or a leopard. Provided you're out here for the right reasons and you're passionate, there will never be a bad day. Even if it's bucketing down with rain, there will never be a bad day if you're still excited to be here. I think that's the most important thing you can bring to the bushes, not your hat or your binoculars. Yes, those things help, but if you don't bring the right attitude and passion, you're not going to appreciate it. You could see a million amazing things, but if you don't have that attitude, you won't like it. Shreyas, I'm not giving away my secrets. I'm not giving away my secrets just yet. We will do our bird call soon. I don't want to do it just yet because I just want to quickly complete my loop of looking for tracks. When I find a nice scenic spot, then I will definitely do my bird call of the day with you. To give you a hint, it is one of Owen's favorites. And this afternoon will be one of Lauren's favorites. I'm doing a bit of a cycle, and from tomorrow we'll start fresh with a different type of cycle, kind of cycle. But yes, today is going to be one of Owen's favorite bird calls. I like this game. Also make sure that myself and Owen and Gert are on top of our game with bird calls, so it's a lot of fun. Okay, let's look for some lion tracks, everybody. So where the tracks are coming from, to give you an idea, I'm now driving almost straight south. That's really funny. I'm driving straight south on the western boundary. The tracks were coming from my left-hand side and coming towards, I would say, 100 meters in front of us. That's the direction. But of course, anything could have happened in between, in the middle of the blocks. We're still not off-roading, and I'm certainly not going to be off-roading just for tracks. But anything could have happened in between there and here. The total distance, though, is probably not even a kilometer from where we found the tracks to where we are. So we do want to make sure we're not missing anything. There are some very well-used game paths along here, and so that's the main areas that we would be making sure we check a bit more slowly. And I'm wondering if it's not a male going towards the Talamatis, because I know the Talamatis have been in the west a lot recently. In this area, I would think so. Possibly Dark Main on a patrol, maybe the Mbali male on a patrol coming towards Dark Main. You never know. One thing we are seeing, which has been a breath of fresh air, is a lot of honey badger tracks. And that to me is the most formidable predator. Yes, lions actually do have a distinct scent that we can identify, but it depends on the lion. Some lions are much cleaner than others, and some lions have a lion smell, and it also depends on the weather, to be perfectly honest with you. With the weather, if it's been raining, if there's a lot of moisture in the air, you can smell lions a lot easier, you can smell everything a lot easier, because the moisture in the air, the water droplets almost amplify any scent. So it's actually not rain. When we say we love the smell of rain, it's not the rain we're smelling, it's actually the soil, but it's just amplified by the moisture in the air. So we can actually smell the soil for a change and smell the earth. But with lions, I would say it's more of a musky fish smell, which sounds really weird and it's not the greatest smell, believe me. But usually lions smell a bit fishy. And of course, if they've eaten a good meal and they're very gassy, then you cannot mistake the smell, because then it is quite horrific. But definitely a distinct smell. That being said, you know, some lions don't smell at all that we can pick up on. It's not quite the same as wild dogs that always smell. There's some hippo tracks on the road. It's unusual in this area. Huh. You can see them kind of here. Yeah, it's definitely not as strong of a smell as something like an elephant, bull and must, wild dogs. Even elephants in general have a smell. Elephant dung has a smell. Alright, come on lions. I really do feel like we're going to have a good day. The little things, everybody, it's the little things. The fact that we started to drive dry today has been a game changer. We'll get very excited when we've had so many days of rain and everything is wet. And you can start to drive dry. And you know it's going to be a good day. I'm sure you're all tired of hearing it, but I still need to find that wild pea flower for you. Oh, stuck in bed. That does sound really good if we could find some cubs out and playing. I think the Kahumas have been still kind of between Little Gowrie and a little bit onto Chitwa, but more Little Gowrie side. So they've been quite a lot further south. I don't know if we would find them this far north at this point, but at the same time, you know, they have been more and more present in Djuma recently. They're doing a bit of a retake of the territory. So maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we'll find those 7 little ones somewhere around Treehouse Dam or on the southern boundary on Gowrie Main. Always worth checking. It's actually a very pleasant temperature. I'm not wearing a jacket today, it's just my jersey. I think because we're not wet again, everything feels warmer. And I'm sure the animals are feeling exactly the same. You can imagine if the animals have had a long night of rain, it's going to be a bit of a downer in terms of their mood, because they're just trying to stay dry and stay warm. And so in the morning, if it's still wet, they do have a bit of a tougher time adapting to that. You know, they're much more resilient than humans are, but you can imagine it changes the whole feel of the day, because they're not going to be jumpy and nervous if they're dry and they've had a decent night. They're going to be a lot less jumpy and nervous. And because it wasn't absolutely bucketing down last night, the animals would have used that to their advantage to move. When it's bucketing down, they don't want to move. They want to stay hidden underneath a little bush. Oh. Okay, so it definitely sounds like Lauren has got something exciting Let's head over and see what she's got.
Here comes the gang. We could hear them. We followed their audio. And Novella, oh yes, there's about 6 of them. Tails up, whooping. Now, I don't have a monitor, guys, so without my binos, I really don't know who we're looking at, but we'll get there. Just need to find my binos. Here we go. I've had this sighting before in Gowrie, Maine like this, where they all come running over the hill. Ah, they've all cut in now. They have cut into Torchwood, guys, so I can't go into Torchwood, but it looks like they're sort of crossing over onto Cheetah Cut Line. I love sightings like that. There literally is about 6 of them. Can you see them? Me neither. Let me just, I can see one. Yep. Let's just go forward and see what they're up to. Hey ma, yay for the Juma clan, they're all here. Ah, there you are. You have been up to no good, I know it. You are full. Look at this one. When the hyenas have got this waddle. Ugh. Oh, it's Ribbon. Ribbon, you hanging out with the gang again. That's nice to see. Oh, it's Ribbon and Isabelle. How lovely. Okay, covered in blood. Going on to Chitwa. That's okay, we can traverse Chitwa. And Novella ran. She ran past us. We checked the day and it wasn't active, and she literally flew past us. Okay, I'm gonna go forward. What is going on? Oh, there's a kill here. Yeah, there's a kill. I can smell a carcass. KFC, if you can just give us a moment or two, we can try. Wait. My goodness, we're gonna puff our nose in. There's another hyena here. Yep, she's eating something. There's a kill here. They're on a kill. I say she, I don't actually know. Is that in Guaz? Yep, they've got a carcass in here somewhere. The smell's horrendous. They've got something. That noise was pretty horrific, though. Yeah, they're fighting. This is fighting over a... I don't know if this is Ngwazi. If this is Ngwazi, it's great news because I've not really seen him. Okay, we're just going to turn around. The boundary line is actually the power line and not Gary Main, so we're just going to run along the power line and see if we can see. Safari Kitty, it never ends, does it? It never ends. I don't know if something's happened on Chitwa. And they've... I don't know. I'm speculating. Stop speculating, Lauren. Is that you in Guaz? Is it? I don't actually know. Possibly not. No, that's Novella. We've got Novella. We've got a few sub-adults running around. Oh no, I take it back. It's not. Hello, why are you coming to the car? No, it's not Novella. What's going on? Can you please tell me? You're stinking. Oof. You don't need to come any closer. You're very smelly. I love you all the same, though. Yeah, they've been fighting. They're following Ribbon, but I know there are still some other hyenas here. We can go into Chitwa and we will. Let me just see if I can get a view of anything on this side. Whew, this is intense. I'm going to try and figure out what is going on and hopefully we'll have some hyena action for you soon.
Good morning and welcome back to Eco Training Islands. We have a moment at Leopard Dam. We've made a quick stop over here and decided to see if there's any tracks that we can find to follow up on. So far, we've not been able to find anything. And then decided we'll do a quick little session of birding and see what is popping in the dam. So far, we've had a number of blacksmith lapwings as well as a number of Egyptian geese, Swenson's spurfell, as well as black cuckoo and Birchall's cuckoo calling in the background. We're just going to sit here for a little bit longer and allow you to enjoy the peace and quiet, as well as the beautiful sounds that you will hear in the background. Good morning and welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We quickly popped in at Leopard Dam to go and see what we can go and find. And we found our Egyptian geese and chicks. I'm just amazed about how quickly these chicks are actually growing. And then just directly towards the left of them, there's also a pair of water thickneys that are actually hiding there. I just find it amazing how thickneys are always using the cryptic colors to blend in so well with their background. We barely see them when they stop. There's two species of thickney that we do find in South Africa, the water thickney, which is often association with water, and then the larger and darker colored spotted thickney, which tends to be always away from water. And both of these are cryptically colored. And it's fairly easy to actually separate them, other than just knowing their differences in habitat, as you'll notice that the water thickney has also got a big broad band on the side of the wing, which we don't find with the spotted thickney. If you watch them, they feed mostly on insects, which I will hunt down. We'll find that they've also got incredibly large eyes, which assist them with spotting prey items in darkness. I also love watching them, how they react when there's potential threats around their nest or around the chicks. And they'll quite often open their wings and start moving towards a potential predator that is hindering them. I've seen them using this strategy quite a few times with snakes as well as with water monitors. Good morning, Ashley, and welcome to the show, and thank you very much. I just also love hearing them at night time. There's actually a pair that's quite often that I find at my home, and they're sometimes in the front of my garden as well. And for some strange reason, we've also got a cat that's deaf that walks around the garden and comes and visits. And he thinks he's a thickney. He often walks with them as well as the guinea fowls. And actually both of these will be alarm calling, and he just simply sticks with them as he can't hear the sounds. Well, let's link over to Lauren and see what she's up to. It sounds as if she's on the path to finding the Djuma clan.
Guys, this is absolute madness. They're on a kill in Torchwood. We can see the drag mark, we can see the blood, we can see where they've pulled the carcass. But naturally, it's in Torchwood. Oh, I've never been so sad. I mean, we do have a little bit of leeway to the power line, but we don't traverse Torchwood. I'm literally heartbroken. I think the whole Djuma clan are on this kill. Fighting, squabbling, screaming, blood. I've not had a sighting like this in so long. And that was Ingwazi and Gingirika. Nice to see them both. They're both very similar in size now. This is chaos. And it's right in there. We can hear them crunching on the bones. I don't know if the Djuma clan have made a kill. But they've dragged it. They've dragged it from Chitwa into Torchwood, which is so unfortunate. I'm just going to go a little bit closer because they've dragged it from this side, and I just want to see if, oh, sorry. You might have to help me again. I'll get out my binos. Spot pattern looked a little bit like Intima, but again, I've not got a monitor, so I'm winging this one. And they keep running over to this side because this is where they killed. Anna Marie, exactly, they're all there. I want to be there. Transport me. They killed it here. They've dragged it here. All the tracks, blood, damp. And they've dragged it over. Oh, hello. Can you give me more details, please? You've got stomach contents. So it's Intima. I've been waiting to see Intima. My girl, where have you been? I have been waiting for you. Oh, I'm so happy to see you. You've got stomach contents all over your face, but that's okay. We'll let that go. Is that Sutu as well? No, don't tell me I've just got all my bucket list wishes in one go. I've been waiting to see these guys. Yeah, this is where they made the kill. It's honking. Why did they have to drag it into Torchwood? I think that's Sutu, everybody. Could be wrong. Waiting for your guidance. Pretty sure that was Ntima and Sutu. The two that I've been telling you all have been missing from my sort of sightings list. Please. I want to know what it is they've killed. I think the clan might have made this kill. There are no lion tracks around. Only hyena tracks. Yes, I know that's Ntima for sure. Just not sure if that is Sutu. And Ntima has a scar on her right shoulder that's really obvious. She's very small. I think this is Sutu. Madness. Okay, I'm not better at all, everyone. I'm happy that we're at least seeing some of it. I can handle this. Yeah, this is where they made the kill. See all the drag marks, the tracks, blood. Amazing. Yes, it was Sutu. It is Sutu. Amazing. I've been waiting to see both Ntima and Sutu, and there we go. We got them, guys. You can see the drag mark where all the grass. I wonder what it was. Safari Kitty, I know. Ntima and Sutu. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Ntima's looking very small, you know. I guess she's low ranked again. I wonder if we've just not been seeing her because she's just avoiding what happened. Corky did beat her up. Ugh, there was so much happening over there, guys. So we've seen Gingirika, Ngwazi, Ntima, Sutu, and Ribbon so far. But I know I can hear there are many more. We can hear them crunching. We just can't see. Amazing. This is amazing. And it literally happened on Chitwa, but that's okay. I haven't had a sighting like this in a long time. And I'm gonna guess they made the kill together as a clan. Is there anything there?
I'm just trying to see if I can see tracks.
Do you want me to reverse a bit, or have you got a view?
Good.
Yeah, we're looking for tracks. If it was a lion kill that they've stolen, or, I mean, a leopard kill, but I doubt that. You would probably see tracks. We've seen nothing. Only hyena. I wonder if they've cooperatively taken this animal down. We got a view. I can't see. I'm winging this, guys. I'm winging it. Cedric, you're saying don't hyenas become obese? No, not at all. Not in the natural world. I think obesity is a massive problem with humans. We live in a very different world from the wild. And in captivity. I've seen some horror stories where animals are overweight in captivity, but that's not realistic. In the wild, not at all. Eat when you're hungry. But they do, of course, fill themselves to the brim, and that's because they have to. It's survival. Oh well, we've got something there. And then when they're too full, they just really won't eat anymore. Their stomach does stretch to a remarkable capacity. But hello, Sutu baby. Why don't I see you so much anymore? Sutu's got a short and stocky hyena like her mother. June's the same. And she's really losing that sub-adult fluff. June's also short but stocky. A bit like me. I've been saying Intima and Sutu, and we've got them. Michael Fleetwood! Oh, I'm so glad you're watching. And yes, I think that's really good advice, actually, Michael. I really appreciate it. Do not go to the den, it won't be active. Lol. Very good piece of advice, because I think they are all here, really. I'm just hoping that they finish the carcass soon and they all sort of emerge and we can get a good idea of just how many hyenas are there. But this was not called in on the radio, and I wonder if it's just happened, because Novella ran. She ran past us faster than lightning. And she heard something. So I don't know whether this has just happened, because none of the guys on the radio called in this drag mark, and they would. But this is, of course, very exciting, so we're going to hang around the boundary line and hopefully get some more views of our Juma clan.
So we've got a little bit of a surprise for you up in a tree. It is not a leopard. It is in fact one of my favorite birds, which is a magpie shrike. It does seem to be trying to warm itself up a little bit on a branch at the moment. I think it's waiting for some sun to break through the clouds, and no such luck yet. It is unusual to see them on their own. I haven't seen another one around in the area. Normally you find them in pairs or in groups. Oh, there are some very unhappy elephants somewhere. I just want to listen for a bit while we watch this magpie shrike. See, maybe it'll start preening its feathers. Maybe start looking for some food. Let's just have a listen, because we are surrounded by all of these bird calls. And I can hear the elephants. I'd like to try and get a direction on where they are. There's definitely some more weather coming. Maybe that's why everybody is out today. It's the calm before the storm again. Everybody's taking advantage of a little bit of clear weather before the rain starts to hit again. That's exactly what we're doing as well. I can't hear the elephants anymore. I'm wondering where they are. Maybe somewhere on the western boundary.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We did find some interesting insects out here this morning, and these are spittlebugs. And what we often do find with spittlebugs is that they are covered with spittle, especially in the nymph stage. And it's also often referred to as cuckoo spit. So you might often drive around and see this foam-like structure on grasses as well as in plants. and they specifically go and hide inside there to protect themselves against parasites, predators, as well as dehydration. I find that these are quite interesting group of insects, as that they will pierce the sides of a plant and then start sucking the sap out of a plant, and then in combination with oxygen they will create that foam-like structure. There's a few things that we also do find is that they vary in size, from a few millimeters in size up to as large as almost 35 millimeters with some of the larger species. And some of those larger species, which is often associating with plant species such as African wattle, as well as the apple leaf, which gives the apple leaf its alternative name as rain tree, when these insects will start feeding on these trees and excreting large masses of moisture that drops to the ground, and then it appears as it's raining. We also do find that they sometimes also feed in association with African weeping wattle. However, within the case of a weeping wattle, it also gets the name of weeping wattle due to the large amount of nectar that the tree drips down to the ground. When it does come to the moisture that gets dropped back to the ground, we also find that it's loaded with nutrients, and eventually when the rain comes, it washes all those nutrients back into the soil and becomes available for the plant when it sucks it up through its root system again. Good morning, Gemma, and welcome to the show. Yes, it's just absolutely a stunning color, and it's the color that specifically attracted me. And it also left me wondering if they are actually toxic, because generally, when we do find brightly colored insects like this, they tend to be toxic and distasteful. But we also do get a number of brightly colored insects which actually mimics other insects that are brightly colored and toxic. However, they're not toxic at all. Oops, it seems as if one of them actually fell off there into the water. Well, we are looking at the smaller things out here this morning. Let's go and see what Lauren has. It sounds as if she's back with the Juma clan.
We don't have a view of anything, I'm afraid. We are just lurking. I'm a lurker. And Denise, I wouldn't call it an obsession, but definitely a passion. And we were just driving along Gowrie Main to go check for Tlalamba. We were going to take that turn up to Cheetah Cut Line, and we can hear is pandemonium. I mean, I literally think the hyenas just made this kill, and that's why Navella ran. I think we just missed it by moments, which is rather unfortunate, but that's okay. And of course, it's great to see clan dynamics. I mean, we go to the den and sometimes they're sleeping, but this, if hyenas really did make this kill, that's incredible. It's a big animal. Gata and I were trying to look for any signs of who it might be, or what it might be, sorry. But it looks very, very large. You can see from the drag mark, they're all full. They're all still crunching. So I'm wondering if it's possibly a waterbuck, or maybe a kudu. Possibly a male Inyala, but I think this has just happened. And that's really exciting. But passionate, yes, absolutely. Everyone should have passion. It's good to check the boundary lines, and between the two teams on Juma, we tried to split the boundary lines, and I was doing a little bit of Gowrie Main and then going to go up Cheetah Cut Line, and we heard this chaos. And we've had a lot of hyenas so far that are accounted for. In terms of the adult females, we're literally just missing June Hart and Corky. And they might be there. We can hear crunching. They might just be in there. So I think let's just lurk. Let's just wait and follow the story. Mama Zana?
Mama Jama.
Mama Jama. Love that name. Mama Jama, absolutely, 100% they do. It's quite a look. Sniffing the drag mark is Sutu. It just happened here. I can't believe it. It becomes quite a frenzy, a feeding frenzy, and it can get really aggressive. And this is where your rank comes into play. I'm just going to go forward a bit and we can get a view of Sutu again. So those low-ranked individuals will absolutely get shoved off a carcass. And that's what the screaming was that we could hear. They're fighting. Now, they are a clan, and they probably took this down cooperatively. But look at the size of the drag mark. That's not an impala. But yes, they do fight, and the low rankers are the ones that suffer, I'm afraid, and that's just how it is to be a hyena. Could even be a zebra, you know, zebras do... You get it from here? Zebras do spend a lot of time at this junction, Cheetah Cutline Gowrie. Could be, I just don't know if we can tell from here. But it's big. Look at the width of the sort of vegetation being split. That's also an indication on it was a really large animal. But it's amazing, an amazing story to follow up on. And obviously, Ntima and Sutu have been missing in action. It's just good to know that they're okay. Just because we've not been seeing them at the den, I mean, doesn't mean they're not going to the den. They're just obviously not visiting whilst we are there. It's a very cool morning. I like to solve the bush mysteries. And just looking at the tracks, the drag mark, you can kind of gauge what happened. It's just rather unfortunate they didn't keep it on Chitwa. But it's all died down, and that's also what makes me think it was really, really fresh. That noise was coming from the kill. They were all in the kill, and it's all died down, which makes me think it's probably mostly Finnish. So we're just going to lurk around for a little bit more, and we're going to send you guys over to Tessa.
It certainly sounds like there is a lot of action happening over there. Very exciting. On this side, I'm getting very excited about something very small. We have got a butterfly here. And from the outside, it's quite tough to tell whether this is a bushveld orange tip, also known as a little orange tip, because you can see that little bit of discoloration on the top of the wing, in which case this would be a male. Or it could be a violet tip female. They have orange on the tip instead of violet. So it's quite tough to tell with the wings closed. I almost need to see the wings open, but this is a very, very small butterfly, and it's clinging to a piece of grass in this very, very wet area as we're approaching Sandy Patch. But it caught my eye because it's white, and white things normally stand out quite a lot in the bush because it sticks out compared to the dark of everything else, the dark coloration. It doesn't look as though it's feeding. I can't see a sticky tongue sticking out there, and so it might just be resting, trying to dry off a bit after the rain. You can imagine it must be quite tough. We've got very delicate wings. You try and keep them as closed as possible when it's wet so that you don't get weighed down by the water. Normally butterfly wings are a little bit powdery, so they do tend to repel water, but when there's a decent downpour or very consistent lighter rain, it becomes a lot more difficult for these butterflies. There was another one when we arrived, but a little bit smaller, but exactly the same species. And it's just looking so calm as it's swaying in the very, very light breeze here. Sarah, I agree. It's a beautiful butterfly, and it makes me so happy to see some of the smaller things out and about. This is what we've been hoping for. With a little bit more consistent light rain, we've been hoping that we'll be seeing a few more insects and flowers. And it seems like we've definitely hit the jackpot this morning. We've been been seeing quite a few butterfly species and definitely quite a few flowers. There's actually a poison apple flower very, very close by. It's a little cluster of these purple star-shaped flowers known as the poison apple. And yes, it is actually poisonous. But I'm not sure why they called it an apple. The fruit actually looks more like a cherry tomato. This one doesn't have any fruits at the moment. But just such a stunning morning looking at some of the smaller things, these pops of color that we find in the bush. Zelia, yes, that seems to be my vibe and my specialty. I love the smaller things as much as I love the bigger things. I get so excited when I get to see a view of a butterfly, for example, that does not fly away for a while. And this one's certainly representing this morning. It has not moved at all other than the swaying of the grass. I wish I could see its wings open, but at the same time I know exactly why it's closing them, so I definitely don't blame it. From the markings, I would actually lean almost more towards a female violet tip butterfly, because an orange tip butterfly has quite a bit of black in the middle of the wing, close to the body, close to the thorax. And I'm not seeing that, I'm only seeing white up to that orange streak at the top. Very beautiful to look at. I love how you can actually see the intricate structure of the wing as well. You can see a bit of where the reinforcement is, a bit of hard section in between the scaly, delicate section. But a beautiful find this morning, and this has made my day already. And I think this is a good sign for the rest of the morning. So I'm wondering what this butterfly is going to be doing. I think it might actually stay here for quite a while, waiting for things to dry up a bit. It's not as though it could be feeding at the moment, unless it's just trying to get a bit of water off of the grass, because this butterfly species, well, most butterfly species here, would prefer nectar and sweeter things over grass seeds. They can't process grass seeds, that's for sure. But let's just watch for a little bit, see it swaying in the grass, and listen to the grey-headed bushshrikes and all of the other birds calling around us. The dawn chorus just has not stopped this morning. And I think it would be lovely to just spend a moment listening and watching. You can even hear, sounds like some starlings. Some of the ground birds. Sounds like even some red-billed buffalo weavers. It is a lovely morning to be appreciating some of the sounds. I'm so happy to have found myself some smaller things today. Definitely makes the day.
We're just doing a loop to see if we could see anything. The lions with cubs, so I'm guessing the Nkuhumas have been called in on the vessel's Mala boundary. So that's far. I don't think it'll have been anything to do with that. I really do think the hyenas made a kill, which is very cool. And that's why we do boundary patrol, we call it, because that's really when you can see things crossing in, leopard tracks coming in, or even leopard tracks going out. As disappointing as that is, at least you know the leopard you're hoping to see isn't on the property. So it's a piece of information. But a drag mark going across the road, now that's pretty special. But it's all quiet, it's all gone extremely quiet. Which just makes me think that carcass is finished. So we may as well pop into Chitwa, I think, since we're here. But that was really incredible. And those sounds, wow, they were so loud. That will really deter. If a leopard hears that, they'll move off because they know that there is a lot of hyena action and it's not something that they want to be around. Oh, that's very sweet, and they know the hyenas know I'm ending my stint tomorrow. It's a send-off, and it's the one I wanted. Absolutely, absolutely. I wanted to see Ntima and I wanted to see Sutu. I mean, I did get to see Sutu briefly the other day, but it was chaos with the dogs. So yes, you're right. They know. I'm gonna miss catching up with them. That's for sure. It's all happening in here. And we haven't seen signs of anything else. No leopard track, no lion tracks, no dog tracks. Amazing. Stuck in bed, you are saying something, but I didn't quite get that. But I did hear you. That's one thing. You love how wishes sometimes come true. Absolutely. It's almost energetic. Got to put that energy sort of out there and be surprised at what the bush can deliver. I think we're just going to go along a little bit. There's a lot of activity on Gaurimi and literally no one else driving it. Ah, yes, you're right. Female leopard mixed in with all of this. Going this way. Tiny tracks. I don't think a leopard made that kill though. That was a big animal, but I guess it's a possibility. Okay, we're just going to keep working this area. Our leopard tracks to throw into the mix. So as I scratch around, we're going to send you guys over to Tessa on a bumbo.
Okay, everybody, it is that time of the day. Well, the morning, I should say. We're sitting listening to bird calls. We can hear impala's alarm calling. We've heard elephants around. And since we seem to be using our ears more than any other sense this morning, I think it's a good time for me to test your bird knowledge while we are watching to see what these impalas are seeing. They're looking a bit nervous. We saw a flash of them here and there, but we haven't noticed a predator in the area, so we're not sure if it's just a false alarm at this point. But while we wait and see what happens, here is your bird call for the day. This is one of Owen's favorites. He has 2 favorites, and I've chosen one of the 2. It is a beautiful bird, and I'm sure some of you will know the sound. So if you do know what it is, or you want to guess even just a family, not necessarily a specific species, please do send in your comments. Alright, that was quite a long call, and you can hear a bit of an echo in the call, so that should tell you a bit about its habitat. And I can tell you it's a beautiful and colourful bird. Okay, so you can start sending in your comments, let me know what you think it is, and in the meantime, myself and Owen are going to keep bumbling forward. Those impalas have moved, and they are relaxing again, so I don't think there is anything right here. I'm excited to see what the guesses are. I'm going to have to send a message through to my friends if you get it right, because we've all been following the story of the guesses. My favourite so far, though, I think was still a baboon bird yesterday morning. That was the best answer. So we haven't actually seen any of these elephants that we heard that sounded so unhappy just now. But we are seeing dung in the road, we're seeing tracks. And I'm wondering if they've moved through in between the time that we came here and have come back. Very possible that they could have. Very, very, very possible. So we're back in the area again where Kara was last night. But we actually came here because of the elephants calling. The elephants were trumpeting. And with Impala's alarm calling too, you never know, maybe Kara poked her head out and decided to move through the area. I'm going to stop a little bit further on again and just have another little listen, just in case she is still around. This is almost exactly where she's been the last few times that we've seen her tracks and we bumped into her. And this is actually exactly where she got chased at the small marula tree by the wild dogs when I saw her. Got some very pretty calls coming from here. Let's have a listen. Let's have a listen. Yeah, I've got a variety of birds calling. I'm not hearing any alarm calls. Angel from a baboon bird yesterday to a flying monkey bird today. Very good answer. Definitely not what I was playing, but I do like the creativity. I can picture it in my head. And it does sound very, very similar to a monkey. If you listen to clips or watch videos of monkeys in the forests, it does often sound like that. That should also tell you a little bit about this bird's habitat. Foresty areas mostly. Ooh, green-winged petilia. I love that answer. It's not correct, but I do like the use of a color in the name. That's definitely getting closer. Green-winged petilia is a stunning bird, so their call is a little bit higher pitched and lighter than that because of the size of the bird. They are a very, very small bird. Shreyas, you are on the money. It is a purple-crested Turako. Let me show you what it looks like. There it is there. And this is actually one of my favorite birds to see in general because it is just so beautiful. It's this one here. It used to be known as the Luri, and now it is the Turako family. And here you can see the purple crest. That's the bright purple. Probably the most noticeable thing about this bird is when it flies, you can see the red on the wingtips. So it really is an absolutely gorgeous bird, mostly found in more forested areas where you might find things like figs. Very colourful family of birds. Absolutely brilliant guess, Shreyas. Well, actually, that wasn't a guess. I'm sure you knew that very well. You are very good with your bird calls. But I loved the guesses today. I think that was a good one. This afternoon, I will be doing one of Lauren's favorites. So if anyone knows some of Lauren's favorites, maybe you're thinking of a few already. I know she played this game a little bit here and there. And I think this afternoon we'll go smaller. I like it. Okay, we're carrying on our mission. We haven't heard anything around here. That sounds like we're going from birds to birds, everybody. I'm going to keep checking Triple M, see if I can find any tracks of these elephants or lions and any more flowers, and I'll send you over to JP with a hornbill.
Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We're just taking a short little drive and see what we can go and find. A few moments ago we were actually watching a group of dwarf mongoose as well as a red-billed hornbill which was associating with them. For those of you that aren't familiar with dwarf mongoose, they're actually one of the smallest of our carnivores in Africa. They weigh merely some 200 grams. But what I do find particularly fascinating is their social structure, as they are one of 4 species of in social groupings. Female is a more dominant individual, and this main group is actually led by a matriarch. And we also do find that she's much larger than the other individuals within that group. Almost 30% larger on average compared to the others. If we also look...
We are bumbling. I don't know what it is, but there's something going on here this morning. When we stopped, we had elephants trumpeting from, it sounded like this area. We also had very nervous looking impalas that were alarm calling. And then on top of that, by the time we got to impala plains, we had a mix of wildebeests and impalas, and they were just looking so unhappy. They were very, very alert. Any movements, they were looking in that direction and just standing dead still. So definitely think that there is something along here, and I'm wondering if the lions are maybe just off onto Arathusa. Very well could be, maybe somewhere near One-Eyed Pan. Okay. We have got some corrugations on the road, so you might hear Rusty bouncing a little bit and a few odd squeaks here and there. So what I'm looking for is just any sign of those animals, and I'm still looking for my wild pea plant. So you can see the little pink flower. I think I'm going to have some luck with it. I'm going to do maybe Owen's favorite road. I'll head down towards Treehouse Dam, Mendoza Road. Somewhere there. Interestingly enough, I haven't seen any fresh elephant dung along this section where we heard them from. So I don't know if they're just over the road or if they're just on our side. But the block is not that big, which is why it's been a bit confusing this morning. Oh, it's still early. It's only 7 a.m. everybody. Feels a bit later than that. That makes me quite happy. There's still endless possibilities. This is actually one of the spots where we thought we saw some tracks earlier, but it turns out they were just very, very into the mud honey badger tracks that we were seeing at a distance, but you could see the toes. It's always a good time to stop if you see toes in a print. I wonder what the rest of this morning has in store for us. I've got a very good feeling, so I feel like since I'm a professional at last minute finds, maybe that's when I'll finally find the lions or Cara. If I'm very lucky, maybe the wild dogs.
The female leopard tracks just go into Torchwood. I wonder if it's Tandy from yesterday. She was on a kill just here. Ah, everything's on Torchwood, yay! I'm only joking. It's a natural ebb and flow of things here. But we are just going to pop into Chitwa Dam. I mean, we're right here. We may as well see what's going on down this side. What an incredible morning, I must say. I really haven't had a sighting like that in a long time. But we will go back and check, but it's all quiet, and of course we can naturally see anything. But as I search for my hyenas, I believe Tessa's got lucky.
We did indeed get very lucky, and there's definitely something going on here because we've got the hyenas walking around the vehicle and back over the road. They've just walked over from the western side, from Arathusa side. They've walked over to Djuma, stopped, smelt, listened, and now they've turned around and they're going back up the road. And they know something that we don't, I'm sure of it. And I know something is happening in this area, but we just don't know what it is at the moment. So I'm going to watch them for a bit, even if it's from a distance, just to see where they're going. And use the opportunity to listen as well. You can hear the birds' alarm calling at the hyenas. And they seem to be on a bit of a mission. Going straight back to that area where I thought, okay, maybe the lions are somewhere near One-Eyed Pan. Maybe that's exactly where they're going. You can see noses to the ground smelling as they're walking. Oh, that grass is long. And now back onto Djuma. Where are we going, everybody? They are picking up speed a bit. They're going back towards Impala Road, where we've just come from, south of Sandy Patch. So I'm just going to head down there and just see where they have crossed in and then see maybe we can head along the power lines. OD power lines are close by and head back that way. So again, we're using all of the small signs today to try and figure out what on earth is happening. In this area, it could be Cara has a kill, it could be the Talamatis have a kill, maybe on Arathusa. We're just not exactly sure what is going on, but everybody's a bit unhappy in the area, so that's a decent indication that something is going on. June with a little torn ear. It was actually just folded over on the top. Yes, June was there, and the other hyena had a very distinct stripe of spots down the side, but it didn't look like Comet. I recognized it, but I don't know which one it was. Definitely seen it before though. Okay. I'm not seeing anything here. I do just want to turn and see if we can go along the power lines. Craig, yes, I think all of the hyenas know that it is Lauren's second last day, and so all the hyenas are out at force at the moment. Bit of a bump coming, OD. Alright, so I'm going to head around to the power lines and round to Impala Road, just to see if maybe they pop out on that side. We've been getting some strange signals from the animals, signals from the animals this morning. Between all the impalas alarming and the birds and the elephants being unhappy, there's something happening. And it's a very small block between Triple M, Impala Road power lines and Sandy Patch or vehicular access. It's a very, very small block. So something is happening in there. And we just need to try and figure out what on earth it is. It'll be very exciting to come around the corner and find the pride of lions feeding on something. Samantha, it has been quite action-packed, and particularly hyena luck this morning. It's been quite wonderful. Quite wonderful. Right, let me turn up my radio again. I do keep checking behind me, purely because animals tend to change direction a lot. So you don't want to miss them coming back over because you're only focused forwards. Yes, we do like to move forwards, but we do keep looking back to make sure we're still aware. Same message for life in general, everybody. Keep moving forwards, but don't forget. Okay, wish me luck, everybody. I'm about to turn onto power lines. Maybe I can get some action.
I've just come down to the dam after all the madness earlier with the hyenas, just for some serenity. And it delivers just that. Even though the skies are grey, the sun is shining. The birds are calling, sorry, the sun is not shining, but it's still active. Still beautiful. So we are just going to sit here for a moment or two and appreciate all the beauty around Chitwa Dam. Isn't it just, the sounds are just incredible this morning. Chitwa Dam is calm. It's amazing to think that mere meters away all that drama was kicking off. I just think Chitwa's worth popping into. Tandy was here yesterday. There's lots of activity going on right now in the sort of eastern sector. Marib's moving, Sabui and Nzutini fighting And Zucchini's really struggling, I think, to find space to set our paws down and make a territory. But it's worth checking. We're going to do a big loop. And amazing to hear Tessa had June on the western sector of the reserve. I can almost guarantee that other hyena was Comet. I don't think we got a view of it, but I can almost guess that it was Comet. So June's now accounted for in one drive. We just need Hart and Corky. And they could easily be there beside that kill. Easily. We obviously just don't have a view. Are the Jacanas walking on water? Walking on water, if only. They're the most stunning birds. I love their coloration. Hannah, you're right. The dam is so scenic. The rain has just caused everything to bloom. Everything is rich with life. Even though the skies are grey, everything is just, so vibrant. Chitwa Dam is probably looking the most stunning I've ever seen it. The bird life is just phenomenal right now. Swallows dancing, jacanas walking on water, buffalo weavers doing their thing in the tree, geese, lapwings. The list goes on and on. I think let's go up a bit. Let's get onto the dam wall. I always stop here because it gives us such a eye-level view almost of the dam. It's nice to see all the life from a different perspective. Switch up your perspective, and low angle is amazing out here. Normally all along the embankment you see the thickneys. And there's the geese family. I'm just going to turn the corner, and they've done very, very well. They've retained onto sort of a lot of the chicks, and the chicks are getting big now. They almost look like adults. If you just look off the Chitwa geese family, I'm sure there are 7 chicks, or am I getting muddled up with Gowrie Dam? They've done very well. I see them every single day. And to stay together as a little unit is also extremely smart. Stay together as a family. Lana?
Drama Lama.
Drama Lana. Drama Lana. Hope you're full of drama.
Lama.
Okay, I'm not winning with that one. But Chitwa Dam is your favorite. It's definitely mine. And it's the biggest, so maybe that's a bit of a sort of cliche, but I've just had such wonderful sightings here. And I think that's what holds me sort of to this dam, from Mareebs and Tandy and to the Avokas when they were just young and fluffy and not fully set in their place, to the hippo carcass that was here that they all dragged out of the water, to Tungana eating the fish. There's Tristan's sighting, but I was on the back. To the Pungwe pack and all the puppies hunting. Many wild dog sightings here, actually. Tandy being traced up the tree by dark mane. A lot of it all happens around Chitwa Dam, and I think that's why I maybe feel so much for it. But I think we are just going to bumble, do a little loop. I feel like there's a lot happening today. I don't want to miss a thing. Aerosmith style. And I'm not going to sing. And again, this drainage really, always look at the dam, but look down here. It's the overflow sort of drainage system from the dam. And so many leopards in here. Shasha, Langa, Sabue, Kuchaba, Simba, Kandi, Maribs. All here. Hello geese. Good morning. I like the water thick Miko. Okay, I'm going to do one ginormous loop around Chitwa. We might get lucky. But for now, we're going to send you back over to Tessa.
Well, what is very interesting to me is that we came in towards Impala Road from power lines and there were no hyena tracks coming over the road and none here on Sandy Patch. So I think they've turned again and gone back. But we don't have any signs of any of the predators around here. So I don't know why those hyenas are doing a bit of a zigzag. Maybe they can smell other hyenas. Maybe they've been close to the lions and they're coming back towards the rest of the clan. I don't know, but we changed our strategy a bit. We're actually going to go back towards Treehouse Dam and then from there cut back west again and see if there's been any changes. But I think there's something around here. And so like Lauren says, we don't want to miss any of the action by sitting for too long and listening. So we're going to bumble and see what we can find because there's a lot of little signs that something might be here. Mark, thank you so much. I think I can attribute that to many years of visiting the bush with my family. That's how I ended up here actually. From those family holidays to Kruger Park every year, and then obviously a lot of experience gained learning from my tracker while I was in Ngala, but also just learning through my course and everything like that, and studying the things I studied at university definitely helps in terms of reading animal behavior. But I think it's just when you're so passionate about being somewhere and appreciating everything, you're always eager to learn. So every time you learn something, it goes into the filing cabinet in your brain and you categorize it and remember it. But I definitely think the biggest part of it is the family holidays, because it just developed this crazy passion that will never ever ever go away. I was very lucky to have the upbringing that I did. So Mom and Dad, I know you are watching because you watch every day. Hello, thank you. Thank you for that passion that you brought up in me. Between them and my grandmother, Nana. That's where it came from. But thank you, Mark, I appreciate it. Intuition is very special to have in the bush. Oh, I've got that feeling. I know something is happening. I need to find out what it is. Craig, I'm happy that you're enjoying the bird call challenge. So am I, because it also keeps me on my toes. There are so many hundreds and hundreds of bird species, and you think you know them, and then somebody will ask you when you're out here, what bird is that? And it rings a little bell. You're going, I know what that is, but what is it? I can't put my finger on it. So it's a fun challenge for us as well. And I think it's just a really nice way to also just appreciate the calls and see what it looks like, even if we don't get to see it in person. To know that it's around and hear the different calls always keeps you on your toes. So it's something that I'm going to continue doing, because it's a lot of fun. I like interacting with everyone, so it's nice to know what everyone else is thinking too. I think that for me was one of my biggest challenges moving to the bush. I was pretty good at identifying birds, and I already knew quite a lot from a very young age. I knew the lilac-breasted rollers and the eagles and those kinds of things, thanks to the family holidays again.
Perhaps on the right.
Ooh. Oh, very far. Okay. Let's see if we can get that raptor. Well spotted, Owen. But yes, bird calls was one of my biggest challenges in the bush because I'd never learnt the calls. I'd only learnt the look of the birds. It makes a big difference when you can recognize the calls and know what you're looking for. Oh, that is very far in the distance. Well spotted, Owen. This is a beautiful big bird of prey. I don't know if anybody wants to hazard a guess as to what it is. Have a look at the round shape of the head. That's always a telltale sign. Very often find this raptor high up in the trees, especially the ones without the leaves. They do tend to enjoy that, and in fact we have quite a few resident ones. This one, there's also one that we often see on Impala Road. They do have, I wouldn't say a fussy diet, but they definitely have favorite diet, favorite species that they like to eat, or favorite family, animal group. I'm very surprised. I've seen little birds flying over, but none are mobbing it. So this is one of my favorite raptors to see out here, especially when we get to have a view that actually lasts quite a while. Recently, a lot of these that we've been seeing have been, as we arrived, they've been flying off. Everyone's been a bit nervous with the weather, even the birds. This is actually quite a formidable bird of prey. Oh, there you can see the profile beautifully of that head. You can see it's quite flat in the front and then very, very rounded on the sides. So in fact, a very close relative of this bird is a massive favorite between myself, Owen, Darby, even my brother. I know I spoke about it last week. Yes, there we go. Everyone seems to be on the money this morning. It is indeed a brown snake eagle. Another good way to tell if you can't see a very clear view of it is if it's a very, very big bird with a rounded head and it's usually on its own, a good guess is a brown snake eagle. And it's hunting at the moment. You can see how its head is moving. Very typical to find it very, very high up while it's perching. It's not quite like the other eagles, which might sit a little bit lower down. It likes to be very high up in bare branches so that it can see further, because remember, if it's looking for something as well camouflaged and low to the ground as a snake, it's got to be on top of its game. So what's really good to know about these as well is it's probably one of the few raptors that is not considered vulnerable at all. They're not even threatened. And so it's really, really good. Whenever we see them, we get a little bit of a happy feeling because we know that this bird is free. It's completely free as a species. It's not considered even close to threatened. And that means we're doing our jobs. It's a nice little reminder that it can happen, and it does. Interestingly enough, there aren't even any smaller birds alarming at this one. Stephen, yes, the snake eagles, there's quite a few in the family. There's a black-chested snake eagle, a long-crested snake eagle, and a brown snake eagle. And they are named because it is one of the favorite items in their diet is any snake species. It can actually be quite dangerous for them, you can imagine, because snakes will strike back, especially slightly bigger ones. And so that can become a problem. There have been, I'm sure, a few that have been killed by snakes or bitten by snakes in the process of a snake striking back. But yes, most certainly snakes are a favorite part of their diet. It's not the only thing that they eat though. They will eat anything from, frogs and lizards right the way through to mice, rats, gerbils, snakes, and even other reptiles, things like chameleons. So they have got quite a diverse diet, and it actually also depends on the area that you're in. In an area like this where we do have a lot of different snake species, they will then go for more snakes than anything else. But if you go somewhere where there's, for example, more frog species, maybe somewhere in KwaZulu-Natal, you'll find their main diet will consist of frogs more than snakes. But yes, particularly here, they enjoy a lot of different snake species, mole snakes, rock pythons, even the very, very venomous ones, things like black mambas. They're definitely not immune to the venom, so it can definitely become a problem if they're not careful. Okay, I think I'm going to leave our brown snake eagle far in the distance. I'm going to head down towards Treehouse Dam and just see if there's anything coming that way, because I have a feeling that the lions are somewhere around here this morning.
Welcome back to Eco Training Providence. We went to a Nyati pan this morning to see what we can go and find over there. And a Nyati means buffalo, and that's precisely what we were looking for. However, we managed to actually locate on a lesser moorhen, which is one of the two species of moorhens which we find in South Africa. They're much rarer as well as much smaller compared to the larger common moorhen, which we find almost throughout South Africa. I'm very happy to find them. That's my first one for the season. In general, when we do look at moorhens and rails, they tend to be quite flattened, that they can move easily through reeds and between vegetation. And that's just why they disappear in between, and makes them quite hard to find. With most of these birds, you also find that they've got incredibly elongated toes, which enables them to walk on water plants and prevents them from sinking in. The water, when they are walking on these water plants, as another glimpse of it, we just can do a small silence segment from here and watch what our bird gets up to, and listen to the sounds of a crested barbet and a number of other birds calling in the background.
No luck on my loop around Chitwa. I did drive past the kill site again and nothing. Silent also. I imagine the carcass, whatever it was, is finished and everyone's either fast asleep or wandered off. But what a morning, at least we got to see half of it. So unfortunately we couldn't go right in, but that's okay. At least we got to see some individuals that we haven't seen in a while. I think those tracks that we found were Tandy's, because we saw where the kill site was and exactly where those tracks come out. So if I'm right, that means that Tandy's back in Torchwood. And I just wonder if Kalamba was in Torchwood. Big birdie flew off. If Kalamba was in Torchwood, possibly just a movement of Tandy would shift her back over our way. I'm hoping it's possible. Can you see it from here? Sorry, I'm terrible at trying to interpret what they can see with the rain roof. I think brown snake eagle. Juvenile, I think. Would you agree?
I think so too.
That's a really good birder. I just can't see very well with my binos, but I think I see those bright amber eyes, bare legs. But it looks a bit patchy on the feathers. I'm going to say a young or immature brown snake eagle. But if I'm wrong, you're welcome to shout at me. I hope Wendy gets a monitor soon, I really do. There are brown snake eagles everywhere right now. I think I'm seeing one on every single drive. They're very easy to film as well. Although that one flew off, they're not actually that flighty. Flighty. I think I'm just making up a word there. Why not? But now we are just going to check for Kalamba. A quick loop just to see if we can see any signs of her. I'm putting it out there, universe. I'm putting it out there. Kalamba and Cubs. It worked with the hyenas. Okay, let us bumble. The cheetah cut line's a really good place to start. Daisy, you're asking something about leopards.
That's the reason why leopards
Feed on? Feel on edge. Feel on edge. I'm just gonna get my director to clarify what that question means. Don't really know what you mean, Daisy. We don't know what leopards feel. I mean, a lot of the leopards here are completely relaxed. I'm trying to think of what you're referring to. Leopards in general are elusive in nature. Doesn't mean they feel on edge. We don't know they feel on edge, but they're not generally, they're quite shy. And if you think about their lifestyle, they're solitary. They're small, especially Tandy. When we saw her tracks, and I'm sure it's Tandy, it comes right out from that hillside. They're tiny. They're so much more smaller than male leopards. Even though they probably look big on camera because they're bigger than a house cat, they are very, very petite. And if you think of lions, lions are so powerful and strong, and they've got each other. They've got a pride. Generally speaking, they always have backup. If you think about hyenas, they know no bounds. The hyenas have one of the most powerful bites in the animal kingdom, and they really can come in big numbers, like what we've just seen. The leopard only has himself, so normally they are they're solitary. They've got to look after number one. That's it. No one's got their back, basically. So I don't know. I wouldn't say they feel on edge. They are just very aware that they need to keep hidden. They need to rely on camouflage. They need to stay hidden, basically. But I mean, obviously a lot of our leopards out here are quite habituated, at least to the vehicles, and they're very aware of who their enemies are and what they have to avoid, who they have to run from, who they have to hide from. But I don't think they live on the edge by any means. They're just hyper aware of their surroundings because they have to be. I hope that answered your question. Okay, Miss Kalamba, please be back on Juma. That on the softer soil, even although we're a bit rained out, we should be able to pick up on tracks. Okay, wish me luck, everyone. I'm hoping to find signs of our princess. But for now, over to Tessa.
Oh, Lauren, good luck. I hope you find the princess. I know we didn't see any signs of her yesterday and it made me a little bit sad. But how's this for a laughing moment, everybody? We actually decided to change our route down to Treehouse Dam, and it took us past the snake eagle, and it was in fact a black-chested snake eagle, not a brown snake eagle. From the back they do look very similar, especially with that silhouetting. So we have to laugh at ourselves sometimes. It was in fact a black-chested snake eagle. And that you can see very distinctly from the front of it, when you can see the front. But there's a lot of white on the belly. But yes, very, very similar diet. Pretty much the same size. My aha moment for the morning. Okay, so we're actually going down Zoe's road at the moment. And I'm hoping, because we're kind of mirroring the western boundary, we're driving just to the east of the western boundary, but same kind of track. I'm hoping we might pick up some signs here, because I am adamant there is something around. We just need to figure out what and where. Because we haven't seen any fresh tracks in the area, and not even when the hyenas came over. And so it's going to be interesting to see what we can find. Lily Wild Guy, I don't know if it was Billy or Lily, I apologize, I didn't hear that properly, but a young and upcoming naturalist. I think the best advice that I can give you is, if it's something you're passionate about, don't lose the passion. If you're feeling like the spark is dying, find new ways to reignite it. So be open to every single opportunity that comes along. Be willing to learn, because you're going to be wrong many times, like I was this morning at the brown snake eagle. You'll be wrong many times, and that's okay, it's how we learn. So be able to laugh at yourself and use everything as a learning experience. Spend as much time as you can listening to the people that are educating you on it and giving you the experience, and just soak it in. Don't think anything is too small to be of value. Don't think anything is too big to notice anything else. You've got to look at everything, you've got to be open to it, and you've got to take it all to heart. Laugh it off, but take everything to heart and use it all to keep that passion going, because there is so much out here, and I find a lot of people focus on the big things and forget the small ones exist. And that's a bit of a travesty. It really is. So I would suggest that you just do everything that you can with passion and enthusiasm and learn from it. And you'll have to learn to laugh at yourself a good few times, because not only will you misidentify things, not only will you say the wrong things, but at some point you are probably going to fall on your face as well. And it's probably going to be in front of a lot of people. So when you fall on your face, learn to laugh at it. I've done it many times. And use it as a funny story for later. Those always go down well. I've now turned on to Philemon's cut line, and I'm doing another one of my zigzags. I want to go and check the plan systems of the Shibama track and then head towards the dam from there. We're kind of now in the southwestern corner of Djuma. So I've done the northwestern section, I've done a bit of the north towards the central part. I've done the west, and now I'm doing southwest back towards the central part again. Because there is something here, and what might have happened is, obviously the animals know it better than we do, but with the rain we've had, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of tracks have washed away. And so maybe there were tracks coming in and they were washed away, and so we don't see any tracks of something coming in or leaving. And yet something might be right here in the middle of a block. And I think that might be the case. It does make it a bit more challenging that we can't off-road, because even if I'm sitting here and I hear lions 50 meters in, then I will struggle. Oh, Sandy, thank you. I really appreciate that. Let's see if I can move it a bit. There's a red-crested korhaan that Owen spotted, so I'm just going to move myself out of the way. Yes, I believe in kindness and... Oh, there it is. It's hiding. Wow. I believe in kindness and encouragement. It's how I get through everything. Hello, red-crested korhaan. Good morning. So there was, in fact, a guess yesterday for a red-crested korhaan as one of the calls. So this is one of the more unusual-looking birds. Almost looks like a miniature ostrich, but with much more striking markings, and called a red-crested korhaan, even though we barely see the red crest. At the moment, it's very safely tucked away. But you can see those massive eyes. Look how it's moving its head through the long grass. It's actually looking for ants. Oh, Kelly, that would be wonderful if this korhaan would call. It's such an unusual call to hear. Stalking through the grass at the moment, looking for ants and termites to eat. That's the main part of a korhaan's diet, particularly the red-crested korhaan. I don't know if it's trying to... Yeah, I think it's actually trying to calculate what we're doing more than it's hunting at the moment. Hiding behind one branch. This is the epitome of camouflage, everybody. I'm behind a tree, you can't see me. Oh, it is such a beautiful bird. I'm going to spend a little bit more time here just to see what it does, because if it does start calling, I would love to be able to share that with all of you. Hopefully, fingers crossed it does. Look at that camouflage from a distance. All you can notice is a bit of the black on the belly and the chest. The feathers on the sides and the head and the wings make it blend in perfectly to this grass, especially at the moment with all the fluorescences, the flowery parts of the grass. But I just want to watch it and see what happens, and we'll just have a listen to all of the calls around us as well. It's as though it's calculating. So I'm not sure if this bird is not moving because it's watching us, or because it's waiting to see movement in the grass to pick up ants and termites. But either way, it's quite fascinating that it hasn't really moved. Just seeing small head movements every now and then. It's fascinating to watch this happening. It's as though this korhaan is using the camouflage at the moment to stay as hidden as possible. We're just seeing tiny little movements from the head. So I think it is still looking for food. It's opportunistic, so it will always be looking for food, but I'm not sure if it's just trying to camouflage itself by not moving much. Benny, the eggs of a red-crested korhaan are very, very rarely seen. They are kind of creamy in color with a little bit of brown, very chocolatey brown speckling. Very, very well camouflaged because they nest on the ground, so they're not the kind of birds that will go up into a tree and build a nest. They will actually nest on the ground, usually in a bit of a rocky, sandy substrate kind of area, so they don't pack it with leaves or anything like that. And so the eggs are designed to look a little bit like speckled rocks and sand on the floor. I would love to see a red-crested korhaan's nest. I've never seen one before in my life. It would be absolutely wonderful to see. It's normally in quite dense areas, so if you're looking at the brush around this korhaan, it wouldn't be in the open grass patch where the korhaan is, as much as we can't see it clearly. This is considered open. It would be kind of underneath dense vegetation, maybe like a small guarri bush or something like that, very, very close to the soil. Kind of there back towards the thickets, that's the kind of area you'd be looking at for a nest. I'd absolutely love to see that happening. So normally we hear them calling a lot when there are females around or when they're trying to advertise the territory. Kenny, yes, it is a very unique looking bird. This is the male, so the female actually looks completely different. She looks more like a golden variant, much more cream and gold. But what's really nice about the males in particular is that beautiful patch of grey on the front of the neck and on the top of the head. It's actually just in front of where the crest is that streak of grey on the top of the head. So it is quite a stunning bird. It can be very easily confused with a black-bellied bustard, because they are very similar size, but the markings on the chest are very different in a black-bellied bustard. And of course, if you can see the red crest, none of them have a red crest like the red-crested korhaan does. But I just love how it's sitting so still. I'm not sure if it's just trying to hide from us. I would think that's what's happening, because normally they'd be moving around a lot more, looking for termites, beetles, ants, all of their favorite things. That's why they've got such good eyesight, so that they can spot these tiny things in the grass. Thank you for the entertainment this morning, red-crested korhaan. It's lovely to see you. I'm actually going to carry on down towards the Pan System and Treehouse Dam and see what else we can find. In the meantime, we'll head over to Lauren, who is bumbling.
No luck on seeing Tlalamba's tracks come back, I'm afraid. Doesn't mean she hasn't. It's been rainy. There are days that we just haven't even really gone out properly. And there's a huge herd of elephants. We just watched them all walk into this block, and I was hoping by coming round we might get a view of them. There's something really nice about seeing Ellie's on a grey, overcast day. I don't quite know what it is. And you know, one bird that I have not seen in 2 years here We used to have one that returned every year to use the same nest in our camp, and we used to get excited when it came back. And I haven't even seen one anywhere in the reserve, is the red-headed weavers. Have you seen any here? No. Not at all. And it used to come every year to our camp, and now, beautiful birds, I just have not seen them. And that popped into my head because we're on Cheetah Cutline, and there used to be a red-headed weaver's nest on Cheetah Cutline as well. I don't think we're going to get a view of these ellies. I think this afternoon I really will try and focus on that northeastern corner for Kalamba. Pickle, I highly doubt it. They are experts when it comes to marullas. Experts. I mean, they smell them, so I guess maybe as a youngster they might go boop a little bit. But if you think about the length of an elephant's trunk, I don't think they're going to be able to snort it all the way up. But possibly some elephants have made some mistakes. But I don't think so. They've got great control over their trunk. Over 150,000 muscle units in that trunk, and the human body has 639 muscles. The entire human body. So it's so powerful, it's so... They can really control every inch of that trunk. A lot of muscular control with the prehensile tips, so I highly, highly doubt it. There's 7 olfactory turbinals in there as well, so it's very powerful for their sense of smell, and I really don't think they're going to make a mistake by getting a marula stuck up there. But it's funny, you know, all the dung piles, it's just marullas, marullas, marullas. I've hardly had any marullas this year.
Which is it that you've got? Lekker. I'm in the area. When there's room, I'd like to come in, but there's no rush.
Yeah, the one tree that we used to get our marullas from, well, the ellies are just getting there before us. And they just leave us with all the rotten ones. Thanks, ellies. I tried to avoid all the dung piles, but actually it's impossible. It makes you drive like this all the way along the road. RH, you are asking about the big tuskers, was that right? Not here, I'm afraid. I've never seen one here. The gene pool for the big tuskers is very prominent in East Africa. There is that elephant in Pridelands. Forgotten his name. Do you know it? It's at the front of my mind. I've obviously never met him, but Davy showed me the video with the huge tusks. And it's not even just the fact that they're long, the girth on them, but I've actually never seen an official big tusker here. And it's genetic, it's a gene pool. And there's lots of different articles and papers that think that gene pool is sort of, well, on its way out. The big tuskers are becoming less and less, mostly likely due to anthropogenic pressure. But I've never seen a big tusker on this reserve. Not an official big tusker. We get big bulls, yes. We get big bulls with big tusks, yes. But not a big tusker, as they're called, RH. I would love to. I saw them in the Masai Mara. And you just think, wow, to be able to hold your head up and move every single day with those huge tusks, it's incredible. Like the breasted roller, but it flew off. Got a lot of nice big bulls around right now, gorgeous bulls. They just have this incredible energy and just play just as an integral part as a matriarch actually, and it's so lovely to spend time with them. But we are going to head to Gowrie Main now and slowly start making our way inwards. It's been a really pleasant morning, i.e. it has not rained. But I'm going to stop just up here once we get to a bit of the open area, and there are definitely rainy looking clouds on the horizon. Rainy looking clouds, not very official way of saying it, but they look dark. Just going to stop here and you'll see the skies look heavy and we can just listen for a moment. Listening is actually exactly how we found hyenas earlier. We heard them calling, so we just stopped to try and identify exactly where that sound was coming from. It's always so peaceful when you just stop for a moment or two. You literally never know what you're going to hear.
What a brilliant timing. I have just arrived at mine and Owen's favorite little pan system where we've been watching the progress of our male weaver that's been building his nest. Let's see if I can get a view for you. Yes! We have literally just pulled up and I can already see there isn't a nest that is looking more green than the others, even from a distance. Let's have a look closely and have a look how that progress is going. So this is the little pan system off of Shibamo track, and he is building that nest, completing it almost. I can't believe how quickly it's come up. You can see he's busy weaving in some branches and some grass. How special is that? I wonder what he's looking around for. Maybe predators, because it can be very distracting, you can imagine, for a male when you're hanging upside down and weaving a basket with your beak. Not with two hands, bear in mind, with your beak only. It's a very energy consuming project, but also quite a dangerous project because you're not being aware of your surroundings. So that's why he keeps looking up. Maya, yes, this is one of the forms of courtship for weavers. The males will have to build these basket nests, and it has to be perfect for the female. And so this is all done to impress her. If she likes it, she will accept the nest and he will be able to mate with her, and then they can lay their eggs in there. But if she does not like the nest, he has to start again. So it's definitely one of the main forms of courtship that you will find in weavers. They do look different to the females, so they've got the black mask on the face. The females don't have that. The females are a bit duller. So the brighter coloration is also part of courtship. We've got two weavers here. That one looks like the female has just flown away. But it's quite an interesting process, because a male might have to build five or six different nests just to impress one female if it's very bad. So you can imagine it is very energy consuming. Those pops of yellow just stand out so much. Jono, that's quite a bleak outlook on life, I'd say. But yes, I suppose it could happen that some males just don't have the skills necessary to impress any females. So it's not as though they'll die because they haven't built a good nest. They will keep building nests, and they just might never get a female that actually passes on their genes, and then they'll die of old age or whatever. But they won't die because they haven't built good nests. And they certainly won't die from a broken heart, I wouldn't think. So I think it's a little bit more complex than just not building a good enough nest for a few females year after year. But yes, I'm sure it could happen, and that's exactly why they won't reproduce, because the females need to have the strongest genes possible to pass on to the next generation. It has to be a strong nest every time. It has to be almost perfect. Yeah, I remember also sometimes with weavers, one male might have 5 or 6 different females that have his eggs at a time. So do I, Megan. It's a very intricate process, and it's, to me, I sometimes struggle to tie my shoelaces if I'm just one finger down, I've got 2 hands, and trying to tie your shoelaces if you're busy holding something in your hand, or I've had quite a few hand injuries, that for me is difficult sometimes, which is embarrassing to admit, but it's true. And you're watching a bird that has one beak, and it can weave something so intricate and so perfect. And so strong. It's just this perfect combination. Nature is incredible. Heidi, they look perfect to me as well, as much as we're not weaver ladies. The good news is that I have seen quite a few females around, and in fact we saw one female going into a nest when we were here 2 days ago. And so I'm sure she actually already has eggs or chicks in that nest. So he seems to be doing a sterling job over here. He is impressing all the ladies, it seems. And you can see this nest has been built for ages, but he's still going back, making sure it's perfect, fixing any mistakes, closing any gaps. And this is why he's been so successful, because he is meticulous, he's a perfectionist. And I like that. So do the weaver ladies. You'll see he's actually reinforcing the top section where it's joined onto the branch. So that's probably just making sure after the rain and the wind, I'm sure it would have been weighed down a bit, making sure that it's still intact and safe. Got to keep his ladies happy. This is just such a peaceful scene. I wonder if he alone built all of these nests or if there was another male with him. It's actually not uncommon or not unheard of for different weaver species to build nests like this together. So they won't work on the same nest, but they'll nest in the same tree very, very close together. But I would think this would all be the same weavers, maybe a maximum of 2 males, because each one will be so specific about building more than one nest. Ah, there's the female. Hello. Amelia, no. So what will happen with most bird species is that the juveniles look completely different to the adults for a very long time. And most of them, especially the weaver species, the juveniles look more like the female. Oh my word, he's adding on to that one too. They look much more like the female than the male, but they'll be a lot paler. So they'll be a lot more sandy colored than yellow. And then as they get older, they will change. And that's just so they can blend in not only with the nests, but with the ground as well as they start flying and fledging. What little bird is that, Owen? A little visitor to the nest. The way the tail is going up, it looks like it might be some form of a scrub robin. But it's hiding very well. I wonder. Here it's hopping around a bit. To give everybody an indication of the size of the bird that I'm looking at on the screen, I think it's maybe the size of a match head on my screen. And we're sitting quite far away, so even my binoculars aren't helping. From the tail, though, it looks like it might have been something like a cisticola or a scrub robin. But nice to see some visitors to the nest, definitely. And I'm very happy to see him working on all of his nests so diligently.
Good morning and welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. At the moment we are looking at a false marula tree, a tree which is often confused with a marula. And it differs by actually having slightly longer strips along the length of the bark. Unlike that of the marula, that the bark always appears pockmarked. And if you do sometimes peel off little sections of the marula's bark, you'll notice that it's pink underneath, not brown, as in the case of the false marula. If we also look at the leaves are actually much darker in color and much greener compared to the bluish-green coloration of the marula. And also, unlike the marula, it doesn't form a very large fruit, but it does have a fruit that's quite edible, and I'm hoping that these are going to become ripe very soon as well, as I love eating them too. There's a few things that I do find particularly interesting about this tree, and one of the cultural beliefs associated with it in Africa is that you can take the tiny little roots, hair-like structures on the root, and you can use it for making a spell. So if you're ever in debt, you can go and visit a traditional healer or sangoma, and they will make a spell for you out of this to make people forget that you owe them money. And in African culture, you quite often owe people cattle, as cattle is one of those things that's been used as a currency. And especially when it comes to paying for a daughter, when it does come to marriages where you have to pay for the dowry. However, not always all the cattle gets paid, and sometimes you must make your father-in-law forget about it. And meanwhile, we're just going to listen to the different sounds in the background. And some of the birds that you might hear is the crested barbet, as well as Swainson's spurfell and Cape turtle dove. Welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We're still out and about. It's been an incredibly quiet morning so far. We've been looking for animals everywhere. So far, we had a few dwarf mongoose. Unfortunately, these little guys disappeared. A few interesting birds. However, it's always tricky when it does come to birds to try and talk about them. As soon as you've got the camera on them, they tend to fly off. At the moment, we are looking at a false marula tree. It's also one of the tree species which we often teach students to actually be able to differentiate between that and the typical marula tree. And just some of the key features that we pointed out a little bit earlier is the coloration of the bark, as well as that the bark peels off in long strips. And if you do peel off some of those sections, it tends to be a reddish brown underneath, not pinkish, as compared to that of the marula, which also has bark that looks more pockmarked. Almost looks like if somebody was putting golf balls against the tree in the case of a marula. When it does come to the leaves as well, you'll notice that they're slightly larger, as well as that they're much darker green in color compared to that of the bluish green coloration of marula. We also will see that they make a much smaller fruit compared to that of the marula, which is also equally tasteful and unfortunately just much smaller. I do actually enjoy the marula fruits at the moment, and quite often when I actually do go for runs these days, I always pick a few of them off from the trees and sit and chew of them while I'm running. Well, it seems as if Lauren has caught up with some hyenas. Let's go and see what they are up to.
Please bring some here, JP. We are short on marulas. And I really want some. Normally we have a bucket where we can all just help ourselves. You got to keep it away from the monkeys and the elephants. Now we bumped into a hyena. I don't know who it is from this bum shot. Back on Juma. Full, so I imagine been at that hillside. And just want to follow for a little bit. See where we go. We seem to be on a mission. And as you know, as we discussed earlier at the start of Drive, hyenas love to walk on roads. Which is a good thing. Just an interesting direction we're going. We're on Pangolin Track. We're heading west. Looks like you're going to that little pan, okay. Because I just wondered if it's in Timo, which it could possibly be. I just want to know where she is going. Just gonna turn off here, hold on. Sometimes if you get too close, they do run a bit. I mean, they're very tolerant, but you don't want to sort of push them. The reason I'm suspicious, because right ahead, literally at 12 o'clock, are the filament stains, all in a row, ding, ding, ding. Jamie, yes, of course. If it's cold, cold, probably not. But absolutely, I mean, they're endothermic, and if they're very, very full and possibly slightly uncomfortable, then absolutely they would. And it's not cold. I know I put on my jacket, but it was spitting earlier and I didn't want to get wet, but it's actually not cold. I mean, it's overcast. Oh wow, got a few patches of blue sky. Hello there. But it's not cold. So yes, they would, especially if they're full or if they've maybe got aches and pains. Water is very soothing for a lot of organisms. If you think of us, if we've got any aches or pains, or we've been at the gym and we're feeling a little bit stiff, we want a bath. We like to soak in the tub. And it's exactly the same for hyenas. This hyena could be going absolutely nowhere, by the way. I'm just intrigued. Where do you go once you've had a big meal? I mean, she is walking in the direction of our camp, so we're heading that way anyway. I didn't catch that FC. If any of you can ID the bum, please let me know. I'm not so good at bums. Because we don't really know where Sutu's been hanging out. We don't really know about Intima. Lara, you're saying it's just on a morning stroll walking off that big meal. Very possible. Very, very possible. Finding a secret sleeping spot, absolutely. I mean, when hyenas are not denning and they're not at the den, they are normally just sleeping in a lovely, comfortable... Oh, Impala. You're not going to be happy. There was a half attempt at a stot that wasn't very convincing. Sometimes it's funny, Impala will alarm call and they will really react to hyenas, and then sometimes they just don't. You can hear that trill. But Jess could easily just be on a morning stroll. Interested in the Impala though. Okay, we are just going to follow this hyena. It's probably going to head straight to our camp, and that's where we want to be anyway. But for now, let's go over to Tessa on her bumble.
Okay, so this is not the exact wild pea that I was hoping to show you. You can see a little fly on there going towards the flower, but this is actually in the same family. This is the creeper version, slightly larger flower called a goat pea. And I think it is absolutely stunning. Owen actually spotted it. And this is growing in a bush willow, so it's crept all the way up from the ground. And it's high up in this bush willow. It's this weird pop of purple where it shouldn't be, if that makes sense. And I think that's why it caught Owen's eye. But how gorgeous is that color? It's like a mix between a bright pink fuchsia and a lilac-y purple. Yeah, it's further down. Hidden at the back somewhere there. So I think it's quite interesting that we have so many different species of pea plants here. They're all in the legume family. But you wouldn't actually realize that there are wild pea species growing here. The normal wild pea that I saw is a much, much smaller version. But the goat pea is also known as the black-eyed pea or the black-eyed bean. And they're actually very, very easy to grow. They like the full sun. They're very, very easy along here. And so you often see them as a creeper growing up all of the different trees, especially in the areas where we are now, the seep lines around drainage lines. It actually did originate in Africa, so this is one of the nice flowers that is not invasive. And they produce beans. Caitlin, I think a few people, I've just had an insect land on my face. I don't know if you heard that as it hit my hat. I got a bit of a fright. I think a lot of people would love these in their gardens. I think flowers are gorgeous. My mom has a really lovely garden. And I know that this is actually a popular species that people use in gardens because it's a creeper. So it'll creep and you can kind of shape it as you go. But I've always preferred flowers in nature, especially things like red star zinnias, because it looks like... Did you hear that again? It just bounced off my hat again. I think it's a grasshopper. The creepers in particular are really nice, but red star zinnias look like a natural bouquet. But yes, flowers in a garden are really, really stunning. And I'm very happy that we found another species of pea, because I've been looking for my wild pea and haven't found another one. There's a smidgen of the flower, also with insects on it, particularly ants, it seems. Ants and flies. Very strange, because most flowers would attract things like bees or particular fly species that are pollinators. You can actually see the ants are focusing specifically on the vine of this little plant, so definitely an ant attractor. If you listen carefully, you can actually hear a woodpecker that seems to be somewhere close by. I'm looking for it while we're sitting here, but I haven't seen it yet. But I'm just loving the insect activity around this one flower. I think it's beautiful. So many ants up and down this vine. And there's a black-collared barbet calling somewhere in the distance. But look at all of those ants. I'm fascinated by why they would enjoy this pea plant so much. I think they're trying to get to the beans. You can see there's 2 little pods there. Those are where the beans would grow. Probably find they're looking for a good food source. It's just started raining. I'm sure you can hear it. Oh, stunning. It almost looks like there might be little black mites on the flower as well. This is so lovely to watch with the little tiny movements. Oh, the flower's starting to close in response to the rain. That is crazy. Oh my goodness, you can actively see it closing. I've never seen this before. It snapped closed like a snapdragon, or a Venus flytrap, and it's not one. Oh my gosh. This is amazing. I'm definitely going to watch and see if it closes more. So something very, very unusual is happening here. It's actually, okay, it's normal, but for me it's unusual. I'm so excited. The flower is closing in response to the rain. It's just started coming down. And this flower snapped closed like a Venus flytrap in response to the rain. And it's closing little bit by little bit as we go. It seems to be closing, but what it's trying to do, I'm imagining, is protect the pollen in the inside parts of the flower. You will hear us pulling the rain roof down. So we're just making sure that everything is covered at the back. But how crazy! It looks like a completely different flower now. Just from closing that top section, the covering section, to protect the inner parts of the flower. And with that, with the response to the rain as well, the ants are gone, the ants have disappeared. Oh, how weird that was. Incredible. I've never seen something happen so quickly from a flower. Cedric, it is very cool. I'm so impressed. I did not think it would ever happen that quickly. I've seen time-lapse videos, but I have never ever seen a flower snap shut. It was almost like a Venus flytrap. You could imagine a fly in there and it just snapping shut. As soon as the rain came down, it just snapped itself over. Very, very quick. And now it's like everything's calm. The ants are gone, the flies are gone, the flowers closed up and protected, just like that. Incredible response to a stimulus. Oh, there's an ant. It's coming back. Luca, I'm so happy that you feel that it has been that impressive. More impressed that you spelled out the whole word. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That is quite a word to spell, so I'm very impressed. I don't know if many people would have the patience, so thank you. I really appreciate it. I think this has been possibly one of the best ends to a drive that I've had, seeing a flower change in front of my eyes in response to rain. I know I've seen time lapses, but I never imagined it would be anything as close to that fast. It literally looks like a different flower. But you can see some of the ants are coming out again. Lovely to see. You can actually see some of the water droplets on the back of the petals now as well. Seems as though it's a fairly waterproof surface on the underside, which would make sense, acting as a bit of an umbrella. And now it also makes sense as to why the shape of the flower was the way that it was, with a bit of a heart shape on the top and one petal instead of two separate ones. Oh, Alme, thank you. That is a very meaningful comment. I really appreciate it. I'm learning new things every day. I did not know that this was called a goat's pea, for example, or that it could snap shut. And it's getting more and more closed. Look how dark it's getting inside there. I'm just so impressed by the intricate designs of everything, from big to small. Everything is so well designed out here. Wow, this is fascinating to me. I would love to do a time lapse of this and see how far closed it actually goes. I'd imagine when it's fully closed, that whole inner section should be, you shouldn't be able to see it. I feel like it's creating its own little tent. That's why the petals are designed like that. It looks a little bit like a snapdragon with that solid petal on the top, and it's definitely for a tent. That makes so much sense now. I love this. What an unusual way to end the morning as the rain comes down and we get to see something as strange as that happening. It's perfect. It's perfect. Very fitting end to the morning. It's been an absolute pleasure spending this morning with all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that we are going to see you again this afternoon, and maybe we'll be lucky enough to see some very unusual things again. I think it keeps things interesting and keeps us on our toes, and we're looking forward to sharing it with you. So thank you again, and we'll see you all later. Have a lovely day.